Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining this webinar with the Social Equity Council. My name is Ginny Ray Clay. I am the Interim Executive Director. Today's webinar is on the income requirements. Okay, I keep income requirements for social equity applicants. This webinar is going to be questions and answers. So I don't have a presentation. This is an opportunity for applicants to ask questions about the income requirements. So we have a few participants. So what I'm going to ask you, ladies and gentlemen, to do is I'm going to ask you to put your questions in the Q&A, and I will be able to see them and answer them. This part of our webinar series is called Office Hours. So this is where I show up to answer your questions. We have, okay, maybe you're getting those questions together. I can tell you basically the income criteria. So the way that we did this is to try to make it easy. So the way that you would calculate your income to see if your household meets the threshold is anyone in your household who is 21 and older, you would calculate their income. They would use that as the household income. The household income cannot exceed 78, for the family, 78,444. We multiply that number by 3, and we come up with the annual income that your family cannot exceed, or your household cannot exceed. So we get the 78,444 is the state median income. We get that from the census. And then we take that number, multiply it by 3, we get 235,332. So for each of the years prior to your application as a social equity applicant, your household income, total household income, could not exceed $235,332 annually. Okay, so we do have some questions. Okay, if your household size has changed, okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is not about your household size. These numbers are regardless of household size. So if you had 10 people living with you a year ago and you have 2 people living with you now, that does not matter. Okay, it's regardless of household size. So I'm gonna just read through the questions as we get them, and then happy to say that again. If your household size has changed within the 3 years that you are looking into, how does that work out for the income requirements? Example, if we move in with my mother-in-law a year ago. So a year ago, you would take everyone who lived in that household, your mother-in-law, you, and whoever we is, and whoever else lived there that was 21 and older, you would take their income and you would add it all together. You would, and that would be for the year, for each of those years. And in each of those years, the total household income, regardless of size, could not exceed $235,332. Okay, the next question. For income requirement, you are able to use a combination of documents that to prove income for 3 years, correct? Yes, that is correct. So some folks may not have filed their taxes, and becoming a social equity applicant or applying for social equity status, we are not asking you if you filed your taxes. We are asking you to provide us with information that shows what your income was in the 3 years prior to applying for a social equity status under the adult use cannabis. Okay. We enter the income documents when our social equity partner is filling in their backer application on the e-license site. I don't know 100%. That is a DCP question. DCP is handling the application part of it. So I'm going to read your question again. Oh, is it gone? Okay. We enter income documents when our social equity partner is filling in their backer application on. So there is I do know there's a backer application or backer information that is being collected. And then there is the social equity applicant piece of it. So the backer and the social equity applicant could be the same, but in most cases they're different. The social equity applicant is or partner is the owner, controller, the person applying for social equity status, and the backer is in most cases the individual that is providing funding for this effort. So to answer this question, Jeffrey, I would pose that to the Department of Consumer Protection, and you can send that question to DCP. I'm sorry, you can send that question to dcp.cannabis@ct.gov. The next question is, if you are submitting 3 years of income taxes with your application, you do not need proof of income letter. Correct. The proof of income letter is one of the options that you have to submit to prove your income did not exceed the 235,332. At one point, months ago, it did appear that the notarized income letter was a requirement. But if you look, the income document on the website says it was revised and that piece was moved down to an option. Do I have to include Social Security payment being received by a retired elderly person? If that retired elderly person is a member of your household and you are living with them, they are living with you, and because you said they're elderly, I'm assuming they're over 21, you would include that information. Yes, their Social Security information. Okay. Do you also need 3 years worth of tax transcripts for our backers as well? So it depends on the backer's position in the company. So if the backer owns more than 5%, will have more than a 5% interest in the company, you will need to provide their information. And it's not necessarily for income. The backer information is to provide for, it's really for ownership and control. So we're not asking you for the tax transcripts for the backer for income. We ask for the transcripts or the tax information for the backer for ownership and control of the business. So I hope that makes sense. And if it doesn't, just say, shoot another question in here that you don't understand and what part of it you may not understand. Okay. Should we be submitting the entire 1040 EZ or just the front pages? You must include all pages, all schedules of your tax return. So if you are a sole proprietor, you must submit your 1040 in addition to your schedules. So your entire tax return package is what you must submit. Okay, so you're saying that I'm asking because I have a business, so my 1040 EZ is a lot. Yep. So your 1040 EZ includes a schedule. It should include a Schedule C, and that is the profit and loss from your business and where you're claiming your business on your tax returns as a sole proprietor. How far into our backers' background do you go? The Social Equity Council does not go into the backer's background That is the Department of Consumer Protection. So that is a question that you should ask them. The Social Equity Council is responsible to ensure that the social equity applicants who are approved for social equity status meet the 3 criteria. We are not looking or asking for information really about your backers only as it relates to the structure of your business and the ownership. And for that, it's not like we're doing any kind of like a background check. We're looking at documents to determine ownership and control. Let's see, please confirm that although there was a change or typo to the posted documents for income residency requirements, and as a result, income verification letters from all employers for the past 3 years are not required documents. They are just one. I am confirming the revised criteria sheet also shows that there is a required section at the top and documents at the bottom. You do not need, you may submit income verification letter, but it is not a required document. Okay, how about our credit? Does it play a part in any decision? So your credit so this is not an income question, this is a business question. But we have 3 questions here, so I'm happy to address this one. So your credit plays a part in everything you do. So know that first and foremost. For social equity applicant, for that status, your credit does not play a role. However, if you are selected from the lottery and meet the social equity criteria and you want to apply for funding, your credit is going to matter. Now, the Social Equity Council and the Department of Economic and Community Development are in the process of creating a low interest loan fund for folks who have gained license, whether it's a provisional or it's a full license. And you wouldn't get the funding until you get the full license, but you can actually apply for funding through this low interest loan fund. We are in the process of finalizing it, developing it, eligibility criteria, and we do understand that some folks don't have credit. And so we are taking all of that into consideration. So I hope that answers your question, Tanisha. So since I own a business, you would be going off the adjusted gross income statement that I personally receive. Yes, that is correct, adjusted gross. Thanks for confirming the first part of my question, but I think you missed the ending. If I choose to submit the income verification letter, they do need to be notarized. Yes, they do need to be notarized. Yep, they must be notarized. And we had earlier today, we had a webinar, if any of you were with us at that time, but if you cannot find a notary, so you can find a notary at your bank that I don't know if the banks would be able to notarize cannabis related statements, you'd have to ask them, but lawyers are also notaries. They are officers of the court. So if you're working with an attorney, which I hope you are, you can ask that attorney to sign as the notary and notarize documents for it. They won't notarize them, but they will sign as an officer of the court. Okay. Those are the questions we have so far, and you're welcome, Linda. Okay, here's another, here's a couple more questions. Okay, here's a question about household with an example. In 2018, my household had 3 adult members for the entire year that lived at your address, okay? In March of 2019, 1 adult moved out and their taxes for 2019 will show their new address, not mine. Let's see, is it correct that my household had 2 members in 2019? If so, generally it's if that person lived with you for 6 months and a day, I believe. Now, I would also, I am not an attorney, I am not an accountant, and I do not work for the IRS. But I would check with the IRS to determine whether that person is a part of the household. I think it's usually 6 months and a day that determines kind of the household or determines, kind of where you lived. But that is a question that I would ask my attorney. What is the legal definition of residence? And I'm sorry, I do not have that definition. Okay, because equity joint ventures with social equity applicants are newly created entities, backers' tax returns from past years could not show any ownership interest. If the equity joint venture is created this year, is the backer required to file tax returns that will not show any ownership or interest? So okay, let me just finish the question. Could they send notarized letter or send a CPA or attorney letter advising that tax returns did not show? So if you are, so what we're answering questions about today is the income. Okay, we're not answering questions about the backer, and this is almost like an ownership and control question. So the backer is anyone who has 5% or more ownership in this joint venture, okay, or this venture, this cannabis venture. It's not your company tax returns, and it's not tax returns of the company that was just formed. It is your personal tax returns. That's what we're looking for from the backer, their personal tax returns. Now, let me just confirm with you. In this space right now, we are answering questions about income for the social equity applicant. I'm not referring to the backers. This is an ownership and control question. So I'm only, giving you information for the social equity applicants. We are not verifying backers. That is a DCP job and responsibility. When we look at the information for ownership and control, the backer tax returns are going to be required. So for this piece, it's not. For ownership and control, it will be. So I hope that answers your question. I think that's you, Attorney Casca. And if it doesn't, let me know. Okay, for 1099 income, the AGI is what is earned after deductions, correct, adjusted. Do social equity applicants need to submit net worth statements, or is that only the requirement for the backers? And do these statements need to be notarized? So again, you would be submitting net worth statements as an option if that's what you choose to submit for income. The net worth statements are under the ownership and control piece of this verification. So the net worth statements give us an opportunity to look at the, again, it's optional for you to submit, but it gives us an opportunity to see, where your money is coming from, how you have the money to move on with this business and or pay the fees. But that is a DCP piece of it, because we are not collecting, necessarily the net worth statements, only again to show ownership and control of your company. And like I said, I should have the document in front of me with all the with all of the optional documents that you can submit, but it's mainly tax returns. And if you have a personal net worth statement and you don't file tax returns, then I would submit it with an explanation. Okay. Is it an absolute must that we connect with local businesses and organizations to be able to move forward with our application for dispensary if our backers can help reach the financial, I think you're saying goals with us. So Tanisha, we're talking today about income and how to meet the income threshold. So this is not a question that I can answer, but I really don't understand. I mean, yours is the only question that we have right now, so I'm happy to answer it the best way I can. But I don't know what you mean when you say connect with local businesses and organizations to be able to move forward with your application. I don't recall DCP indicating that you needed any kind of local authority to move forward. When you get the provisional license, if you're awarded a provisional license, and to go to full licensure, you'll have to abide by all local rules, zoning, permits, so forth and so on. So I don't know when you say an absolute must. If you want to send another question clarifying, I'm happy to try to answer it a little bit better. So I will submit your 1099 or the filing to show. That is up to you. Anonymous attendee, you are submitting the documents that you feel are best representing your income. So I'm not going to tell you to do both. I'm not going to tell you to do one. You submit those documents based on the criteria that is listed on the website. And if you choose to submit both, that is, again, totally up to you. Okay, Janisha, I answered your question. Great. Okay, I'm glad I was able to. Okay. Jeffrey, you're quite welcome. And I'll see you on Thursday. Thank you for joining us. Okay. So again, if anyone is just joining us, we are answering questions related to social equity applicants' income. Any questions that you may have, I'm happy to answer them. And Linda, you are quite welcome. Questions related to income. We've got some time if folks are on the line and we don't have any questions in the queue. I'll take some other questions in other areas if you'd like to ask them. Okay. So just let me give you some information. You know, as always, I will be here Thursday at 4 o'clock, and we will have office hours related to the residency for social equity applicants. That's usually, I'm sure we'll get quite a few questions related to that, as some folks are having some difficulty finding some of their documents. So I hope that I will be able to give you some good advice and answer your questions around that. But in the meantime, if you're looking for additional information, there are several areas that you can go to find out the latest and greatest and what's being updated in the adult cannabis use market. And that is, you can visit the DCP website at dcp.cannabis@ct.gov is the dedicated email address for the Department of Consumer Protection to send your questions related to the regulatory part of cannabis, the lottery, and the application. And if you have questions for the Social Equity Council, you can send your questions to sec@ct.gov. Our websites are ct.gov/Social Equity Council and ct.gov/cannabis. We have a couple of questions, and let's see. If there are partners for social equity applicants, do they both need to currently be Connecticut residents? I do not know this. I think, oh, what is this? I think I know this, but so if you do not need to be a Connecticut resident to make application for social equity status and or for the provisional license. But to be an owner, one of the parts of the definition, own and control, your principal place of business must be here in the state of Connecticut. Okay. So I hope that answers your question. You do not need to be a Connecticut resident to make application for social equity status, nor the provisional license, but the place of business must be in Connecticut. Is there a repeat of today's 12 o'clock session? I missed some information, or can I YouTube? Please go to YouTube. All of our webinars are on our YouTube channel. Thanks to Paige for creating that for all of you. Is Thursday's webinar on ownership, when is residency? So Thursday's office hours, 4 o'clock, is on residency. We did an ownership webinar last week. So today is income and Thursday, 4 o'clock is residency. I'm applying for a transcript license, or I'm sorry, transport license. I'm able to begin uploading information now, or, okay, I'm able to begin uploading information now, or do I have to wait till the period? You cannot make an application for a license that is not open. So I believe transportation is one of the last ones to open. If it doesn't open this week, I think it's going to open next week. But if you check the DCP website, it will give you a list of all of the licenses and the dates that they will open. So the DCP website is ct.gov/cannabis, and it'll tell you there what licenses have already opened and what the license period is. We may have some information on our website that lists the timeline for the application process, where it lists, all of the dates of the, let me see, I could probably find that too. All of the dates of the applications. So I can tell you, so, okay, for the person that asked the question about transport, let's see, transport lottery application closes June 22nd, and it will open lottery, food and beverage. All right, so my sheet doesn't even say that it opens, when it opens, but June 22nd is transport or lottery application window closes. So 90 days from then is when it opens. It should be here. Delivery, May 18th. Hybrid retailer, May 25th. Food and beverage, June 1st. Ah, 24th. So the transporter license opens on March 24th. Anyway, it's out there somewhere. Okay, so Augusta, there you go. You can't, it will, press release will come out. you can go to the DCP website and you can click on, because it'll say on the border that the license is open at that time. Could you repeat when the webinar for residency will take place? Okay, it's not a webinar, it's office hours, and it will be the 17th. That's this Thursday, 4 o'clock. If you do not have a link, ownership's Thursday? Oh, I'm sorry. Ownership is Thursday. And what was residency? We've already done the residency question. If you have some residency questions, you can ask them. You can ask them here. We don't have too many questions in the queue. I'm sorry. I'm all office hours and social equity criteria out. So let's see here. At what point of the application process will need to provide notarized or proposed location? That is a DCP question because that is part of full licensure. So I would send that question to dcp.cannabis at ct.gov. I am not able to answer that question for you. I'm sorry. So anonymous attendee, if you have a residency question, I can answer that for you. But we did the residency requirement. What's Thursday? Yeah, ownership. Okay, ownership and control Thursday. Let me write this down. My brain is just fried. Okay. Yeah. Yep, that's a DCP question. Okay. Okay, you're welcome. You're welcome. So visit our YouTube page. You will be able to find all of the webinars that we've done to date. We have other webinars that are coming up. You will see office hours in there as well, where we're just answering questions. We don't necessarily have a presentation, but we're answering your questions to give you clarity. And then all of the webinars that we have done to date are on the on our YouTube page. You're welcome. So I'll just add a couple of things in here that we're working on here at the Office of the Social Equity Council. We are working on a low interest loan fund for applicants who have been who are going to need some money to get their businesses up and running. A question was asked earlier, does credit matter? Credit does matter. So you have some time now if you have some things that you need to clean up. So understand that the difference between social equity applicant does not grant you favor. Well, it does grant you favor, but the criteria for borrowing money is different than the criteria for being designated as a social equity applicant. So if you've got some things on your credit report or your credit that you need to have cleaned up, you should do that. We are not asking a lot of information on, for social equity verification, such as, are you current in child support? Are you current in your taxes? We are not asking those kinds of questions, but those questions do become relevant when you're borrowing someone else's money. Okay, and the monies that we're putting together, they're taxpayers' dollars, and we still must be responsible in lending those monies. Where can I get info pertaining to vehicles required for deliveries? I believe I was told policy and procedures, but do not know what type of vehicle. So That is a DCP question because that's a regulatory question, your regulations and what's required as far as this adult cannabis industry is concerned. So please send that question to dcp.cannabis@ct.gov. You can also check the the Public Act 21-1 for information on the entire adult use cannabis law. Okay. Just for the folks that are here with us still, we're working also on an accelerator program, developing that to help those folks who are granted the provisional license and full license to get yourselves up and running. There's a lot of information that is out here. There's a lot of information that is needed. There's a lot of information that you're going to need. And we want to support you in all ways that we can. Please understand that we're not looking to do this for you, but we're looking to provide you with some relevant, useful information to help get your business going. But please do not depend 100% on the Social Equity Council. It's not our job to start your business. That's your job, but we do take responsibility to assist you and moving and helping you identify resources. So continue to do your research, continue to seek out as much information as you can. Mr. Koska, do you have a question? I see that your hand is raised. Maybe that was from before. If you do, please put your question in the Q&A. We're not doing the conversation today, so. Okay, no problem. Oh, just go back down. If you look at, it'll say raise hand at the bottom. And then when you click on there, it'll say lower hand. There you go. Oh, okay. You're all set. Okay, looking forward to Thursday. Thanks again for providing this forum. Thank you, Linda. Thank you very much. And thank you for taking the time to join us. Appreciate you being here. You're welcome, Thomas. Any other questions? I will be here for the next, well, as many as till people log off. I'll be here, or at 5 o'clock, whichever comes first. Again, I can give you our website, ct.gov/social equity council, and then ct.gov/cannabis for the Department of Consumer Protection for information on the lottery, information on the application, a link to the e-license portal, other information related to adult use cannabis and the regulatory portion. ct.gov/social equity council for information on social equity applicant criteria, income, residency, ownership, and control, resources and information about our webinars, links to other resources that will be helpful for you. Okay, if later on you come up with a few questions, you can send those questions to sec@ct.gov. That is the dedicated email box for the Social Equity Council, and dcp.cannabis@ct.gov, dedicated email box for the Department of Consumer Protection to ask your questions. And we check the box every day. We try to get back to folks as quickly as we can. Some questions require a little bit more research, so the response is not as quickly or as quick as sometimes you may think, but we do want to give you the most accurate and up-to-date information. So we will answer as quickly as possible, but we will be providing thoughtful answers that are accurate. Okay. So any other questions? Happy to answer them. Right now we're answering questions about income, but if while you're here, another question came to your mind about the process, I'm happy to take those questions as well. On this going down. Okay, so I'm gonna give it another 3 minutes. At 4:45, if there are no other questions, then we will call this webinar to an end. We'll give you back 15 minutes of your day, and we'll check our box and see if there's any questions that may have been posed there. If you do not have a link to Thursday's office hours, or you do not have a link, if you're not on our distribution list, please send your email and request to be added to our distribution list to sec@ct.gov, and we will put you on the list, and that means that you will get invitations and notifications of upcoming webinars. We are planning several webinars. We're planning webinars related to business plan writing, taxation, location, local zoning, and how to navigate local municipalities. We do have a link that we could send you to those municipalities that have moratoriums, prohibitions, or who have approved cannabis. So as you're planning your business, you'll know where you can and cannot locate. Also, if you're looking for other resources, chambers of commerce in your area may be helpful in providing you with some resources. There are several lawyers, accounting firms, legal firms that are providing pro bono services. So reach out to the chambers, ask them if any of their members, or if they know of any folks in the area that are providing pro bono work and services. Google information on adult use cannabis in the state of Connecticut. I know specifically, and not that I'm plugging anybody, but I know specifically that the Greater New Haven Chamber of Commerce has a cannabis group that meets quite often. You can reach out to them for information and resources, as well as the Norwich Chamber is embracing the cannabis business, and they have resources and are conducting various activities for folks interested in being a part of the adult cannabis market. Okay, and with that said, it is 4:45. I do not see any additional questions in the queue. Once again, you can send questions later to sec@ct.gov for the Social Equity Council. You can send questions to the Department of Consumer Protection at dcp.cannabis@ct.gov. And of course, visit websites ct.gov/Social Equity Council and ct.gov/cannabis. And with that said, I thank you all for your time. Thank you for being with us today. And hopefully we will see you on Thursday. Good night.